Like to call to order the regular meeting scheduled noticed for today. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have the roll call, please.
Alternate Wall. Here. Alternate Wu.
Via Zoom.
Sorry, I forgot. You can unmute yourself now. Sorry.
Present.
Trustee Chen is not here. Trustee Derry.
Present.
Trustee Osaguela. Vice Chairperson Sadoon is not here yet, and Chairperson Domeyer.
Here. The agenda is posted 72 hours prior to each meeting at the following locations: at City Hall, the Crow Public Library, and the Stoneman Building. The agenda is also posted on the city's website. The city welcomes public input. At this time, the public may address the Library Board of Trustees on items that are not on the agenda. Pursuant to state law, the Library Board of Trustees may not discuss or take action on issues not on the meeting agenda. To ensure that everyone, including those joining us remotely, are able to hear all speakers clearly, please speak directly into a microphone. I would now like to ask Management Analyst Shiganaga to explain how public comment will work.
Thank you. For each item on the agenda, there will be time for public comment. We will accept comments in 3 ways. We will take in-person comments for each item. Please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to me if you wish to speak. Second, we will ask for comments from our Zoom participants. When we ask for public comments via Zoom, there are 2 ways you can let us know you would like to speak. First, you can use the raise hand feature, which is a button that's found by clicking on participants and then clicking on raise hand on the bottom right side of the screen. Please do not use this feature until we have asked for public comment, or else we may not see it or know which item you are asking to speak on. As a second option, you can send a message using the chat box saying you would like to speak on this particular agenda item. Comments will be accepted only until the end of the public comment period for that item. I will then read into the record any public comments received by email for that particular item. Due to technical limitations associated with gathering, printing, and sorting email public comment, the city has instituted a 7 a.m. cutoff the day of the Library Board of Trustees meeting for emailed public comments. This is to ensure there is sufficient time to gather and present the emailed comments at the meeting. Any comments received after 7 a.m. the day of a meeting will be included in the public comment record, but will not be read at the meeting. Thank you.
Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one here, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
All right. Before we begin, is it possible for us to make Sandy bigger on the Zoom? So, because she's a postage stamp right now, and I don't want to I don't need to see me that big at all. That's much better. Okay, good morning. All right, let's start with the chairperson's report. The year is winding down rapidly already. I can't believe it. We have no meeting in December. And since last week was Thanksgiving, I was sort of reflecting on the gratitude I was feeling in general, but especially for this group. It's been a really good year of accomplishment. And I am very pleased and honored to be working with all of you and look forward to continuing the good work next year and have an equally productive 2023. We're going to hear later in the meeting some of the things that we've gotten done throughout the year, and I'm not going to list them now, but you just know how productive you've been. And that's all I've got for my report, short and sweet. The second item on the agenda are trustee reports. Do any trustees or alternates have anything to report? We'll start with Sandy, since she's via Zoom. Anything to report, Sandy?
Not at this time.
Great. Vivi, how about you? Anything to report? All right. Lois?
Not really, no.
All right. Kathy, how about you? Anything?
Nothing to report.
All right, terrific. The third item on the agenda is the Crane Art Gallery Liaison Report. Vice Chairperson Sadoon is not here, so we'll just skip over that and move on to the fourth item, which is the San Marino Center Renovation Update Report, which is me. Looking at the window, I can see them hard at work. Apparently, there was a tour given to a couple of the city council members last week as demolition is nearing completion on the San Marino Center. And it's kind of exciting to see all the work that's going on. There's going to be a scheduled tour for the task force members, of which I was a member, soon. I'm not sure when, just to sort of see when progress is going on. So I'll have more to report come January. Is there anything you want to add, Kathy? Did you know of additionally?
Just that I am working to ask internally the project managers to provide monthly updates on significant highlights and milestones on the project as it kind of enters into its, mid phase and then towards final completion, which could be mid-year to early fall of next year. So I'm working on trying to get that internal communication pushed to Steve so he can share that with the group.
Was there any response to the email you sent? You copied me on?
Yeah, they're working on it. Yeah,
Okay.
but they're working on kind of coordinating with the general contractor and the foreman to be able to kind of get that. And then we're also, I made a suggestion that we also create a construction update page on the city's website. So I know that that is in process as well. So on a real-time basis, anybody can go to the city's website and check the status of the project.
I will tell you, it's funny because just as a citizen driving by, you see the fence up and you don't really know what's going on. Seeing the photos that were taken from the inside of it, you're like, wow, they're really getting a lot of stuff done. And so it's kind of nice having those visuals. So I encourage the city to publish photos as much as possible because kind of like the weekly newsletter that the city manager sends is helpful. This is the same way they kind of spread that message. When I see those photos of city workers clearing tree limbs and after storms and stuff, you're like, oh yeah, I may not have been there to see him do it, but now I know what's going on.
Yeah, the repository of photos on the web page itself is also going to be, picture tells 1,000 words, right?
Yes.
So there'll be narrative as well as photos is my hope.
Great. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the fifth item on the agenda is the Friends of the Crow Public Library Liaison Report. Can we have the report from Lois?
Well, I attended the Friends meeting and they, with their new president and a new treasurer, they seem to be very active. Their big discussion was buying new book bags. If someone buys $10 worth of books, they get a blue book bag. And so they're out looking for places so they can get they're out of bags and get more bags. And they're now open 7 days a week. On Sunday, they're open, let's see, they're open 3 hours on Sundays and 4 hours on Saturdays, plus the rest of the week. And I think they're doing very well. I'm working on Saturdays twice a month, and they're doing very well.
That's great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. The sixth item on the agenda is the San Marino Public Library Foundation Liaison Report. Trustee Chen is not here, so we'll skip over that. The seventh item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Are there any questions from the board? No? All right. I'd like to open up the item for public comments. Does anyone want to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. There's no one here. So do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
All right. At this time, I'll bring the item back to the board for discussion. Any comments or questions from the board about the minutes?
No.
No? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of the October meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? Great. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Derry,
Yes.
trustee Osaguela,
Yes.
and chairperson Domeyer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you. The eighth item on the agenda is the Director and Library Manager report. Can we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson and Library Manager Vera?
Thanks, Steve. Good morning, everybody. On page 9 of your packet is where our report begins. And I hope that everyone has had an opportunity to take a look at it. We will not review it necessarily in detail as usual, but we are excited to share some personnel updates. Linda and her full-time librarians, supervisors have been hard at work to interview and welcome 2 new library assistants, a gentleman by the name of Jack DeMeo and Mario Lopez. I don't know, Linda, if you'd like to say a little bit about how excited you are to have them on the team.
They're absolutely lovely people. They come with a lot of energy, a lot of customer service experience, and a lot of instructional experience. So, Jack comes to us from the music world. He has, taught guitar classes, so that's great. I believe it is also Jack who, speaks some Mandarin. So we're really, really happy to have someone on the team who can speak to patrons in the language that they're most comfortable in. That's wonderful. And Mario participated in a mentorship program for youth in the LA County Library System, and he currently works for LAUSD, which is wonderful. That means we'll have him on Saturday, and we're hoping that that will open up opportunities to have youth programs on the weekends, which right now we've been a little strained, but we're really, really excited to have people that bring these skill sets to the library.
Great.
Okay, great. And then turning the page onto page 10 at the very top. This is where we have made note of our Q1 quarter one for fiscal year 22-23, which is the operating budget that we're working within right now. And as part of your packet, you had an attachment 1, which is our budget monitor, as well as attachment 2, which is the donations monitor. Is this oversized papers? So it is early in the operating year, but the story that these reports tell today on the attachment 1, the budget monitor report, really, as far as the revenue goes for at the very top of the page, you'll see that we're tracking at about 20%. Since it is quarter one, we should be hoping if we, around 25%, but we're tracking for revenues around 20. And that's because on line 2, it appears that our passport revenue, which is the bulk of our revenue, is lagging a little bit. But we're not really worried about it. That could be a posting issue, just based on when the reports were run and things like that. So then down on the middle of the page in the blue box, the blue table, we are tracking pretty much on point with where we should be for being 25% into the operating year. One note that I would like to, kind of bring forward is the fact that we've been expressing that our personnel staffing levels have been, we've been understaffed. So you would then think that our personnel line would not be tracking where it's tracking. So on line item 10, we are at 13% for part-time, but then you look at line item 11, and you'll see that benefits number is at 52%. So to the right, in the comments section, is the reason for that. The benefits were sort of front-end loaded for the annual budget. So it states the annual CalPERS payment that's charged to our operating budget plus monthly contributions in quarter one is where that big sort of that big expense is coming from. It's just the way the finance department is posting those CalPERS benefit expenses to the library's budget. And then moving forward, it will only include monthly contributions. So we got a big hit at the beginning, which then is kind of making it look like our expenses are tracking, but really it's that one-time CalPERS expense. So we're still lagging on our personnel, our part-time personnel line item. And then other than that, expenses are tracking just fine, and no other big story here or concerns. Unless anybody has any questions, we'll move on to flipping over the report.
I do have one
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
Item number 1, scenic rebates. What I'm sure I've seen that a million times. What is that?
Yeah. Kristen, you want to answer that? She explains it much better than I do. Or Linda. Okay, go ahead.
Scenic is the name of it's like it's the program that we are tapping into to get high-speed internet.
Gotcha.
We are getting this at a reduced rate, and we're getting this through a contract with the California State Library, who provides this service to all California public libraries. As part of this reduced rate, all libraries have the option of either getting discounts throughout the year or taking the lump sum and running, which is what we chose to do. It's what we do every year. So we're just keeping
Yeah, it's
on
an
with that.
annual line item of revenue that we've been getting for, it's
Perfect.
nothing new and it's,
Oh, I assumed
yeah.
it wasn't. I just saw it and didn't
Yeah.
remember it, so.
yeah.
There are many acronyms involved
Right.
with that internet project. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So any other questions before we move on? About the budget monitor
Any
report?
questions from the board? No?
Okay, so turning over the report to the donations monitor. First off, I would like to highlight again the way the report is laid out, just to refresh everybody. You know, we are looking at this on a quarterly basis. Anyway, some feedback. And so the top line items 1 through 8 in the green table represent the revenue that we bring in for donations. And we are tracking well ahead of schedule, or, you know, we're at 77% for the year. And that is because we did receive the donation check in a lump sum from the Friends Group. So we are at 31,101 total revenue for the year for donations that we anticipate around 40. So that brings us to about a 77%. You know, we've reached that revenue point already. Then you move to the blue section, which is our expenses. And the reason why, if you compare the line below line item 20, you'll see those two lines, and there's a total for expenses. The budget was at 62, which then puts us at a deficit of 21,500. I don't know if anybody would like that explained. The reason for that deficit or that differential and why we don't show a balanced budget here is because of line item 10. The computer room renovation, which is a $22,500 expense that will hit the donation account. And so to cover that balance, though, we will get a transfer in from, if you look to the very far right, there is a donation reserve fund small summary table to the far right. And if everybody can see that upper right of this report, and we are basically sitting on approximately $70,000 in that donation account. So we will do a transfer out from here and a transfer in to the donation monitor account to cover that, to balance the donation monitor account. So any other questions for this? And then the bottom half of this report represents detailed line items that we were asked to display in a report that shows the spending out of each of these particular line items. And we haven't done a lot of spending, basically.
And when do we expect it to receive the donation from the foundation from Literary Libations? I don't see that.
I don't know the answer to that, exactly when we will be receiving that.
Will it be this?
Yes, this
this year?
fiscal year. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know exactly when. I know they're still truing up that, you know, the bottom line on that account with final receipts coming in.
Okay. Any other questions?
The computer room renovation, is it gonna happen this fiscal year too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to open this up for public comment. There's nobody here, okay? And no one wants to speak. No one's here.
Yeah.
Did we get?
It's early in the year.
Yeah.
We didn't really expect a lot of questions
Okay.
about this particular report.
All right.
So
Should we move on to our
Yep.
ninth item then?
Yes, well, let's,
Or do you have more
let's-
on your-
yeah, we're still gonna
Sorry.
keep going here. No, that's
Okay.
okay. So
Thank
still
you,
on
Joe.
page 10. So the Meet the Librarian event was very successful. I don't know if we have any questions about that. Linda is here to, I know Deborah Sadoon was, trustee Sadoon was present. And so that was a huge success. We are working on the, this is just, for everyone's book of knowledge. We have budgeted, that we, or I should say, it is part of our work plan to do the research for a new ILS system and be able to budget for it for next year. So the research has begun. We've met with to sort out kind of the project itself, how we're going to manage the project, and then and working internally with the finance department, our internal network support vendor, who happens to be called Intellisys. And then what our role as staff is going to be as we then present a recommendation for a new ILS vendor for the next fiscal year. So that is a work plan item, and just happy to report that it's underway as we move through this process and we identify the vendors that we're going to be interviewing. And then putting forward a recommendation. We will put that forth to you first before we put it forward to council. So that's really an exciting technology upgrade that we're excited to be taking the library to the next level with a lot of good progress, and that'll be a huge step forward. Any comments, Linda, on this? She's also agreed to spearhead the with staff the internal feedback on the types of functionality that we're really looking for, and then working with the team to get their feedback, identifying who those vendors are, and then I'll be working with her on how that interview process will go. So any other comments? Did I summarize that? Okay.
Excellent summary. Yeah, no, we're really excited to do this. And really the primary push is because the ILS system that we're currently running on is an open source platform. And since we don't have the capacity to hire a programmer and have them on site full time, we're really not able to utilize the ILS to the best of our ability to serve the community. So we're looking for something that will allow us to serve with the skill set that a librarian is expected to have instead of adding that and computer programmer on top.
Yeah. Any questions about that? No? Okay, as we move on, I'm really excited to share that the new teen advisory group is getting resurrected. Linda and Janelle, or everyone.
It is kind of a group effort
Okay.
because teens fall into a not children, but not exactly grown-ups either category. So it really is spearheaded by our teen librarian. So she's taking the lead on that, but we're all sort of supporting and researching with her.
And it essentially gives teens in the community an opportunity to volunteer here, as well as help drive programming.
Nice.
And how have their voice heard as we develop some new programs to meet that age demographic. So I'm really excited
great.
about that, and I know staff is. We Linda participated in a trunk or treat. Then on page 11 and going forward, we have the calendar. Please, take a look. Mark your personal calendars to join us for some of the special events that we have upcoming. I think as if I could kind of highlight a few on page 11 listed under December 9th, it's Home for the Holidays. That is an event that the recreation side is spearheading, and it will be showcasing the historic bus stop shelter, and there will be a mayor's reception as well as kid activities. Santa will be showing up by fire truck. There'll be photos with Santa. The outgoing mayor will be speaking, will be allowing the mayor-elect to speak. We will be, having a tree lighting ceremony. And then a lot of fun, family activities. There's free refreshments. Please plan to join us. It should be.
Will that be here or I said?
No, I'm sorry. The location is the bus shelter. So it's across City Hall, across adjacent. The little house, the little holiday house. Yep. And so it's the history on this is the civic groups, Rotary, as well as the former Chamber of Commerce used to spearhead this for many, many, many years. Well, it was decided last fiscal year that city staff and the city will take the lead going forward on ensuring that this San Marino tradition continues. So, and the two internal departments that are leading that are community services as well as public works. So the community services side is the recreation team, because we're in charge of events. We have designed a new event called Home for the Holidays, along with some other kind of festivities throughout the month of December. But we have this mayor's reception. So this will always be a time that we can honor the tradition. We can put the house up, we'll light the trees, we'll have a quick program, and it kind of kicks off the holiday season, as well as continuing this longstanding tradition of that corner of San Marino being, if you could think back 70 years, that was the welcome center for, the trolley. That was the trolley stop. That was the bus stop when people would come visit. So on the 9th, there will be this tree lighting and kind of a ceremonial kind of kickoff to the holidays. So please mark your calendar and join us, and there's free refreshments. And we also have two sponsors, Jones Coffee Roasters. Chuck Jones is a resident, and obviously they're a coffee establishment in Pasadena. They will be a sponsor of the event, serving hot cocoa and cider, and excited about that. And then Julian from downtown is also a sponsor, and they're providing some nice fancy cookies and things like that. So please plan on that. And then if you moving on to January, please mark your calendar for the open house, which you'll hear a little bit more about from Linda. And let's see, February, is there anything in February we want to highlight? No, not in February. I mean, there's lots of great stuff happening, but the two big events, we would love to have all of our trustees there. Really, please wear your badge, come to let your beautiful faces be known that you're serving the library as a trustee, and that it's a great opportunity on the 9th as well as on the 21st. But more to come on that. And then, but before we talk about the open house, I would like to find out if anybody has any questions about any of the other operational reports up through page 13.
I don't have a question. I have just one comment. Very impressive. You've given us the history of San Marino since you're such a new resident here. It's very impressive. Any other questions or? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to let Linda just talk a little bit, give a little sales pitch or a commercial pitch on the open house event that and I would like to give a huge shout out to the foundation board for many, many years. They spearheaded this event because operationally, the city staff were maybe not in the best position, is what I understand through my research and in talking with Cindy. But now that we are fully staffed and there's new kind of new bandwidth, if you will, here at the library, we spoke with Cindy.
I'm sorry, are you jumping to item number 10 on our agenda?
Oh, is that a standing item?
Yeah.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Forgot about that.
That's all right.
I apologize about that. So I'm out of order. Thank you. Point of order. Thank you. Rein me in.
The chair, where's my gavel?
Okay, so that concludes my report.
All right.
Any questions on director and manager report?
Questions? Anyone have it? Okay, the ninth item is the fiscal year state library report. That's the
Wait.
next thing.
Got
we got
it.
coming up.
Did we
By
ask
the-
for public comment? I know we don't.
Okay, yes. Is there any public comment? I need to ask that. By the way, all my sheets say page 4 of 4, every single one of them. So I'm flipping over here and I was getting lost. So my apologies for getting out of order as well.
No request for comment.
No request for comment. All right. Let's move on then to the ninth item on the agenda is the fiscal year 21-22 California State Library Report. Can we have a presentation from Library Manager Vera?
All right, well, I think you have some of the highlights in the report. Some of the we're seeing services bounce back, services and programs for sure. I think most striking is the change from library visits, so just people walking in the door. From the previous reporting period, it was 8,100 people. And then for this reporting period, we had 183,064 people. So really a huge bounce up. We're seeing also huge changes in the number of reference questions that we're answering. So for the previous reporting period, it was 1,218, and for this period, it was 6,863. I fully expect that number to increase as we continue to staff up and just have more people available to answer those questions. Yes.
What happened to the reference desk? You've moved it or you've eliminated it or what?
So reference service is currently taking place at the doors when you walk in. And the reason for that move was because it represents more of a concierge service. You're greeted when you walk in the door. Also, we find that the public tends to not make a distinction between who is a librarian, so who has the capacity to offer and the training to offer reference service and walk with you through the library and assist you versus circulation staff whose job is really bound to that counter. So we find that it provides more flexible, more robust service by having everything centered at that front desk. A lot of libraries have shifted to this model.
What are you going to do with the reference area then?
Oh, I have so many ideas. It could blow your mind. We are approaching that carefully and thoughtfully, so that way we're doing something that matches the way people are currently using the library. So we want to observe what the public is doing, what they're asking for, and make sure that we're able to be flexible and change that space up as the need arises.
Okay.
But yes, so programs are bouncing back. We had 48 programs last year versus 80 this year. And our attendance numbers are also bouncing back up. So with the adult program, attendance for the 2020 to 2022, it was 881 people, and this year it was 1,376. So, we're definitely working to return to those pre-pandemic service levels.
Exactly.
Great. Any other questions from the board? Sandy or Vivi? No? Okay. I need to open this up for public comments. Anyone here want to speak on that presentation at the time? No. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
We do not. All right. Let's bring this item back to the board for discussion. Any comments or questions from the board? No. Well, may I have a motion to receive and file that report?
Yeah, I move to receive and file the fiscal year 21-22 California State Library Report and recommend it for ratification by the City Council.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Low.
Yes, sir.
You second? Okay, great. Thank you. May we have a vote, a roll call, please?
Trustee Dairy,
And yeah, right.
trustee Osagueda,
Approved.
and chairperson Domeyer.
Approve.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Let's move on to the 10th item on our agenda is the 2023 open house planning. Can we please have a presentation from Library Manager Vera?
One more. Okay. So we're terribly excited. We've had lots of storytelling and coaching from Cindy, who sort of cued us in. This year is on past practice for the open house. This year is going to be the 90th anniversary of the library, as well as the 15th anniversary of the building. So that's, certainly a point to highlight. We're planning programs throughout the day, well, from 12 to 4 on that Saturday. So it's, it's going to be a little bit of a circus in the best possible way. So we're really excited. We're looking at crafts and scavenger hunts, a video game truck out front. Hopefully we'll have some perler bead stuff and just tours, things for everybody. We are so happy to say that we have gotten the San Marino Historical Society to agree to come and do a San Marino / Kroll Library trivia with opportunity drawings. So brush up on your San Marino history and come on down to participate in that. And we're working to see how we can pull in some other community organizations and support and really, make it a large, lovely, fun, festive event for everybody.
I have a question. In the past, was it the foundation members that were giving tours or library trustees? And what do you need from us on that day?
I would love to make use of your tour skills. You're walking backwards right this way. Follow me.
I am a former page. I can't walk backwards and walk at the same time. So.
Excellent. Yeah, we're like I said, we're still getting background and support from Cindy, who's sort of cueing us in on the different functions that our partners have fulfilled for us. So I will keep you posted.
Any questions on the open house?
Yeah, I just have one comment, if I could, please, because I jumped the gun a little bit earlier with
You were
my
so
background.
excited.
I know that I always really appreciate kind of some backstory or background on certain things. And what I was sort of alluding to was that Cindy and the foundation for many years led this event. This is a transitional year that Cindy will be working with us to kind of pass on all that knowledge through about all the wonderful aspects of the event that was held in the past, and make sure that we honor, and utilize all the great, success aspects like the tours, which that's that knowledge transfer we're getting from Cindy. But what we will be the lead agency this year with the foundation serving in a support role. And then in the future, it will really be a city staff as a function with obviously the foundation being involved. We would love to get the friends involved as much as possible. It is an open house, not just for us, but for this wonderful bookshop service that the bookstore, that is a hidden gem as well. So, but it is a transitional year. And we are so appreciative of Cindy and her working with staff, and Linda and her team are ready to go, and they're ready to take it to the next level. So that was the only comment I had about open house. And please, more to come as the program gets finalized.
Great. And I'm hoping everyone attends because it's always a lot of fun. It's a fun day. Let's see, anything, we don't need to approve that. Can I just go back 1 second here? We kind of skipped over since we didn't have our trustee here to talk about the Crane Art Gallery. I just wanted to mention that next month, a former library trustee, Linda Molno, she is going to be displaying in the Crane Art Gallery.
It's up.
Happening
Is it up
now.
already?
It's happening right now. Yeah, it's.
Wow.
Yeah, when did that happen? Like
I
she
believe
had.
last week.
Yeah.
that they
Perfect.
did the
I
setup.
haven't been here in a week, so it's up and it's
Up already.
Mhm.
yeah, it's up already. So I'm gonna, after this meeting, go take a look at everything in there. But she's a renowned artist, and it's fun to support that as well. I just want to make mention of that. Yes.
Just before we move to the final item on the agenda, I was remiss I had one other update from the director's report that I would like to share.
Sure.
And I had a note here and of course I missed it. So I apologize for that, but I wanted to provide the trustees with an update on the code of conduct ordinance for the library. So the process is that there's a first reading and the council and the public is given the opportunity to comment on it. And that passed, the first reading passed at last month's council meeting. The second reading, there's always two readings to updating of an ordinance or introducing a new ordinance policy, if you will. So the second reading will happen on December 14th meeting, okay? And then that also gives people an opportunity to understand it in at a greater level. They can appeal anything, they can ask questions, whatever. So that's part of the process. Then after the 14th, there's a 30-day waiting period before it can actually be implemented. That 30-day, the clerk publishes the new ordinance, and then it gives the public an opportunity again to understand it, read it. It gives staff an opportunity to prepare for implementation, which then will happen at some time in mid-January. So just kind of getting through that process. So you'll see that code of conduct being activated, new signage and kind of activation of that new ordinance at the beginning of the year.
Great. Thank you very much. Anything else?
Mhm.
Do we have any written communication or public writings for distribution? Apparently not. We will adjourn. The meeting is adjourned at 8:44. Geez, until the next meeting on January 23rd at 8 a.m. here in the Barth Room. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
We
you.
don't have a December meeting.
No December meeting.